7 years after being forced into a relationship and marriage by the male lead, the female lead finally appeared. I was lecturing my son for placing a snake by my bedside, when she immediately defended him. Mrs. Anderson, he's only a child. Mr. Anderson works hard to provide for you. Why can't you be a proper wife and mother? I pushed my son toward the door. 2 for 1 deal. You can raise him now. Little Jake looked dejected, as he slowly retrieved the black and white snake from his pocket. Miss, isn't my striped snake adorable? He presented the snake to the female lead, Sophia Chen. Sophia retreated several steps, her legs shaking. Adorable. Jake was obviously disappointed with her response. He stepped closer, extending the snake towards Sophia's face. Then give it a kiss. Sophia's face drained color. She shook her head on the verge of tears. Jake, please stop. Snakes can bite. It won't bite. I've trained it, miss. Just pet it. Jake gently tapped the snake's head, wanting to impress Jake. Sophia mustered her courage, shut her eyes and extended her hand. The snake appeared agitated and suddenly struck, biting Sophia's hand. Sophia yelped in pain. 2 tiny puncture marks appeared instantly on her hand. Blood began to seep through, stark against her fair skin. Jake smiled wickedly, the expression identical to his father. Nathan Anderson's careless malice. Oh, well, it's shy around strangers. He leisurely returned the snake to his pocket. Mom usually feeds during school hours. It only knows Mom's smell. It gets upset when others handle it. Sophia clutched her wounded hand, tears falling freely. Jake, how could you? I only came to collect files for Mr. Anderson. What are you crying for? Jake scowled, perfectly mimicking Nathan when he reprimanded staff. It's harmless. You'll survive. Come with me to Dad's company, and I'll make him cover your doctor bills. I disregarded the chaos outside, returned to bed, adjusted to my preferred position, and shut my eyes for more sleep. Thanks to the female lead, she finally removed that little troublemaker. This sleep was particularly deep. I awoke to darkness outside. The bedroom door opened softly. Nathan's familiar footsteps approached, accompanied by his signature pine scent. I kept my eyes closed, feigning sleep. He approached the bed, leaned down to wipe my hair around his finger, and whispered. Sophia stopped by. She's downstairs waiting for dinner. I opened my eyes to study his defiant features. 7 years later, Nathan remained largely unchanged, just more obstinate. Even when I received sales calls from men, he'd spend half the night interrogating me suspiciously, considering my monthly $6 million allowance. I sat up, rubbed my eyes, and replied irritably, understood. Nathan grasped my wrist. Snake injured her hand. I invited her to dinner as compensation. Are you alright with that? I arched an eyebrow silently. My greatest concern was materializing. Jake and I were becoming elements in their romantic plot. Nathan wasn't truly apologizing. He was creating opportunities to meet the female lead and ignite their love story downstairs. So Sophia sat at the dining table. Upon seeing me descend, she immediately rose with a triumphant smile. Isabella, Jake already apologized. Children make mistakes. Please don't hold grudges. And don't discipline him physically like Mr. Anderson did. Kids get frightened. I acknowledged with MM. I'm not the butler. I don't need to announce to the female lead. You're the first woman the young master brought home. Jake appeared from the stairway corner today. He wore a crisp white shirt with perfectly styled hair. However, his cherubic face showed tear streaks. His small hands protected his rear end. Seeing me, Jake's eyes reddened further. He turned his head defiantly sideways. Mama, sorry, I already gave away my snake. I knelt down, repositioned his crooked head, and brushed away his cheek tears with my fingertip. Jake's earlier boldness around Sophia had completely vanished. He rushed into my embrace, arms wrapped tightly around my neck, crying uncontrollably. Mama, hold me. Papa hit my bottom, and it stings. Sophia's eyes well up. This is my fault. Without me, Jake wouldn't have been punished. I rubbed Jake's back soothingly, while looking at Nathan standing nearby. This child truly didn't understand consequences of everyone. To antagonize, he chose Nathan's beloved. Nathan remained silent, approached us, bent down, and extracted Jake from my arms. Jake immediately frowned and attempted hiding behind me, but Nathan held him securely. Do you understand your mistake? Jake nodded meekly. Yes, I won't put snakes in Mama's bed again. Nathan's expression relaxed somewhat. Time for dinner. The dinner atmosphere felt extremely strange. Sophia continuously glanced at Nathan with seductive expressions, yet Nathan focused entirely on serving Jake and me, removing shrimp shells for me, completely disregarding her. Such wasted effort I couldn't bear watching. And helpfully nudged Nathan's leg under the table. Nathan winced quietly and looked up, catching Sophia's gaze. Sophia set down her utensils, appearing concerned. Mr. Anderson, are you hurt? Nothing serious. Our pet cat is acting up, Sophia inquired cautiously. I understand he examined me deliberately. Mr. Anderson, I understand Isabella graduated from the elite university. Why would you allow such an accomplished woman to remain idle? As a housewife, Nathan always maintained his respectable image, particularly around the female lead. He couldn't possibly admit I was formerly his assistant, working devotedly until he could find me as his captive companion. Nathan avoided directly addressing Sophia's question. The foot didn't cast away. We need more beverages. I'll retrieve some. I observed Sophia carefully. She vaguely intended, using this conversation to suggest I was merely a dependent, burden on Nathan. No need for concern, Miss Chen. We're preparing for the worst. Having a female lead was Nathan's predetermined fate. With her arrival, Nathan would naturally lose fascination with me. He was already redirecting his focus toward pursuing Sophia. At last, my liberation was approaching. Jake, munching on spare ribs, spoke indistinctly, while Mama worked as someone's assistant again. His innocent voice struck Nathan like lightning. Uncle Marcus or Uncle Big, not Uncle Adrian, right? I adore Uncle Adrian most. Nathan's beverage bottle crumbled in his grip. I trembled. Why did the air suddenly feel frigid? Jake smoothly slid his drink toward Nathan. Papa, children shouldn't drink from damaged bottles. Take this one. I need a replacement. Nathan shot Jake a stern look. Drink it or leave it. I massaged my temples. Jake was typically perceptive. How could he misread such an obvious situation? Romantic dinners for two become overcrowded with 4 participants. Kawan's enormous distractions during their entering evening. I lifted Jake. Jake, Mama has fresh beans upstairs. I also exchanged pleasantries with Hattie. Sophia, enjoy your meal. Sophia certainly struggled, maintaining her proud posture throughout dinner. Regular people truly cannot become female leads. Mama, will you stay in my room tonight? Papa was frightening today. I might have bad dreams. Could someone who enjoys scary stories as bedtime reading fear nightmares? Simply a convenient excuse for avoiding Nathan's bedroom. Absolutely, sweetheart, preferably. Nathan clutched his silverware intensely. He avoided looking our direction, continuously slicing his already demolished steak. His force seemed capable of penetrating the dinner plate. I repeatedly explained that overcooked steak resists cutting. He refused to listen. Sophia spoke slowly. Mr. Anderson perhaps tried my portion and said, to prevent witnessing improper activities afterward. I bounded upstairs 3 steps at once, rapidly escaping the steak. Post-meal, drowsiness returned and I napped again. Nathan probably added citrus to my water, preventing interference. Upon awakening, Jake continued assembling his electronic gadget. He abandoned his components and scampered toward me eagerly. Mama Miss is wearing a nightgown and monitoring your and Papa's bedroom entrance. Such audacity, they would serve me being bold. I dared not protest or express anger. What options did I have? I was merely the powerless supporting wife character. Suddenly, Sophia knocked on her door. Jake, are you sleeping? The knock on the door was soft, almost hesitant, but in the quiet of the second floor, it sounded like a small hammer striking wood. Jake immediately stopped fiddling with the motherboard of his miniature drone. His dark eyes, so like his father's, gleamed with a mixture of malice and amusement. He looked up at me, his small mouth curving into a silent, conspiratorial grin. Mama, he whispered, his voice barely a breath. The guest is at the door. I have ears, Jake, I murmured, pulling the duvet tighter around my shoulders. I had no desire to get out of bed. The bed in Jake's room was slightly smaller than the massive, custom-built one in the master bedroom, but it had one distinct advantage. Nathan wasn't in it. The knock came again. Jake, are you sleeping? It's Sophia. I bought you some more milk. I sighed, realizing that peace was a luxury I would have to fight for tonight. I swung my legs over the edge of the mattress, slipped into my slippers, and walked to the door. Jake followed close behind, his small hand catching the hem of my oversized sweater. When I opened the door, the hallway light cast a long shadow across the threshold. Standing there was Sophia Chen. She was indeed wearing my nightgown. It was the emerald silk slip, the one Nathan had imported from Italy for our 5th anniversary. I had worn it exactly once before declaring that the silk was too slippery, making me slide around the pillows like a wet seal, and had relegated it to the back of the closet. On Sophia, the gown hung slightly loose, the hem dragging on the carpet. She held a silver tray with a single glass of milk, her bandaged hand standing out starkly against the dark metal. Isabella, she gasped, her eyes widening in mock surprise. She quickly lowered her head, looking like a delicate wildflower caught in a sudden draft. I didn't know you were in here. I thought Jake might be lonely after being disciplined. He's not lonely. He's plotting, I said, leaning against the doorframe. My gaze drifted down to the nightgown. Nice dress. The green is a bit much for your skin tone, but if you like it, you can keep it. Consider it a parting gift. Sophia's face flushed. She shifted her weight, her fingers tightening around the edge of the tray. You misunderstand. My clothes were soiled during the commute, and Mr. Anderson's assistant, Secretary Vance, kindly fetched this from a laundry room. I didn't mean to. I don't care, Sophia. I interrupted, rubbing my temples. Really, if you want a husband, take him. If you want clothes, take them. Just do it quietly. Some of us actually value our 8 hours of sleep. Isabella, how can you speak of Mr. Anderson that way? Sophia's voice trembled with righteous indignation. He is a giant in the business world, yet he carries the weight of his household on his shoulders alone. You treat his affection and his lifestyle as if they are burdens. If I were his wife, if you were his wife, you'd be on your 3rd cup of chamomile, tea trying to ignore his breathing, I said. Behind me, Jake let out a low, liquid chuckle. He sat down from behind my legs, his hands tucked into his pajama pockets. Miss Chen, is that milk for me? Sophia's eyes lit up with maternal warmth. Yes, Jake. It's warm, just the way. Did you wash your hands after my snake bit you? Jake asked, his face perfectly blank. The black and white one feeds on swamp rats. Sometimes it carries parasites. If you didn't disinfect the glass, I might get diarrhea. Sophia froze. The glass of milk rattled against the tray. Her eyes darted from Jake to me, her lips trembling as she struggled to maintain her gentle savior persona. I washed them, Jake. Of course I did. Good, Jake said, taking the glass from the tray. He didn't drink it. Instead, he poured it slowly, deliberately, into the soil of a potted fern sitting near the doorway. The plant looks thirsty. Thanks anyway. Jake, a cold, commanding voice echoed from the end of the hallway. We all turned. Nathan stood at the top of the stairs. He had discarded his suit jacket, his white shirt unbuttoned at the collar, the sleeves rolled up to his forearms. He looked exhausted, his dark hair slightly disheveled, but his presence still commanded the entire corridor. His eyes walked on me first, then drifted down to Sophia, and finally settled on the green silk gown. I watched his expression closely, expecting the classic male lead realization. The moment he sees another woman in his wife's clothes and feels a sudden, inexplicable spark. Instead, Nathan's brow furrowed, his eyes darkened, a dangerous, cold aura settling over him. He walked toward us, his footsteps silent on the thick carpet. Who gave you permission to wear that? He asked. His voice was low, but it held a vibration that made Sophia take a step back. And Mr. Anderson, Sophia stammered, her face turning pale. Secretary Van said. He said it was an old piece that wasn't being used. I didn't want to catch a cold. Vance is fired, Nathan said foully. He didn't look at her. His eyes were fixed on the silk fabric clinging to her frame. Take it off. Now. Sophia's eyes welled with tears. Mr. Anderson, where am I supposed to? There are guest robes in the hall closet, Nathan said, his tone devoid of any warmth. Leave the gown on the floor. Don't let me see you in it again. I leaned my head back against the doorframe and sighed. Nathan, don't be dramatic. It's just a piece of silk. Let her have it. It's better than it sitting in the closet gathering dust. Nathan's gaze snapped to me. The intensity in his dark eyes was suffocating. It's not just a piece of silk. I bought it for you. And I hated it. I reminded him gently. It was slippery. A muscle jumped in his jaw. He stepped closer, effectively ignoring Sophia, who stood shivering and humiliated beside us. Isabella, we need to talk. I'm sleeping at 8 tonight, I said, pointing a thumb over my shoulder. Go talk to your guest. She's the one waiting downstairs for dinner. The dinner is over. She's leaving, Nathan said. Sophia looked as if she had been slapped. Mr. Anderson, you said I could stay the night because of the storm. Nathan didn't even turn his head. The storm is past. My driver is waiting downstairs to take you home. Secretary Vance will accompany you to ensure you receive proper medical attention for your hand. It was a cold, brutal dismissal. I actually felt a twinge of pity for Sophia. She had entered this house thinking she was the heroine of a modern romance, only to realize the male lead was a deeply unpleasant, obsessive man who didn't play by the rules of her script. Sophia clutched the tray to her chest, her lips moving silently as if she wanted to speak, but the look on Nathan's face silenced her. She turned on her heel, her head bowed, and hurried down the hallway toward the guest bathroom to change. Once she was gone, the hallway fell into a tense silence. Jake looked between Nathan and me, then shrugged. I'm going to sleep, Mama. Don't let Papa in. He smells like wet pine and anger. Before Nathan could react, Jake slid back into his room and shut the door, clicking the lock into place from the inside. I was left standing in the hallway with Nathan. Well, I said, stretching my arms. That was productive. I'm going to find a guest room. Isabella. Nathan said, his hand shooting out to catch my wrist. His grip wasn't painful, but it was ironclad. Stop this. Stop what? I asked, looking down at his hand. I'm trying to give you space. 7 years, Nathan. The original story is finally getting back on track. You had the delicate, hard-working female lead. She's injured. She's crying. She needs your protection. Why are you standing here bothering me? Nathan's grip tightened slightly. What original story? What are you talking about? Nothing you understand. I sighed. Just let go. I'm tired. You're always tired, he murmured, but his tone lacked its usual sharpness. Instead, there was a strange, desperate undercurrent to it. You slept all afternoon. You didn't even look at me during dinner. Because you were busy carving up the steak like I owed you money, I said. And besides, I had to watch Sophia try to feed you with her eyes. It was exhausting. Nathan stared at me, his chest rising and falling slowly. Are you jealous? I am begging you to divorce me. I said clearly, looking him straight in the eye. Does that sound like jealousy to you? The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush a weaker person. Nathan's eyes searched my face, looking for any sign of hesitation, any hint that I was playing a game. But he found nothing. I was truly, deeply, and utterly finished with this marriage. Slowly, his hand slipped from my wrist. I will never divorce you, Isabella, he whispered, his voice cold and final. Never. We'll see about that, I murmured, turning away. Have a good night, Nathan. The next morning, the Anderson mansion was exceptionally quiet. I woke up at 10. The bed in the guest room was firm, the sheets crisp and cool. For the first time in months, I didn't wake up to Nathan wrapping his arms around my waist or staring at me in the dark like a handsome, wealthy gargoyle. When I descended the stairs, the dining room had been cleared. Only a single plate of warm croissants, sliced fruit, and a cup of black coffee remained. Jake was sitting at the kitchen island, his iPad balanced on his knees as he coded something. "Where's your father?" I asked, taking a sip of the coffee. It was perfect, just the right amount of bitterness. "He went to the office early," Jake said without looking up. "Secretary Vance was fired this morning. Papa had to handle the transition himself. He looked like he wanted to kill someone, or several someones." "Good for Vance," I said, buttering a croissant. "He gets a severance package and an escape from this madhouse." "Mama," Jake said, sliding his iPad onto the counter. "Are you really going to divorce Papa?" I paused, the knife hovering over the bread. I looked at my 7-year-old son. He was incredibly smart, too smart for his own good, and he had inherited all of Nathan's worst traits: the calculating coolness, the possessiveness, the lack of empathy for anyone outside his immediate circle. But he was still my child. "Yes, Jake," I said gently. "I am." "Will I stay with you?" he asked. "Do you want to?" Jake shrugged, but his small fingers curled into the fabric of his shorts. "Papa is boring. He only talks about stocks and mergers, and he gets angry when I put reptiles in his shoes. But you let me do whatever I want as long as I don't wake you up." "A very practical reason," I smiled. "Yes, you can stay with me, but we won't be living in a house this big. We'll probably have a nice apartment in the city, close to a park." "Will Uncle Adrian visit?" Jake asked, his eyes sparkling with a sudden, mischievous light. I nearly choked on my coffee. "Jake, where did you get the idea to mention Adrian during dinner yesterday?" "I saw him on your phone," Jake said innocently. "He sent you a message last week. It said, 'The funds have been cleared. Beautiful.' I thought Papa would like to know your friends." "You little demon," I groaned, pinching my nose. "That was a business transaction. Adrian is my financial advisor, and beautiful is just how he talks to everyone. He's gay, Jake. He has a boyfriend named Julian. Papa doesn't know that." Jake pointed out a swallow. Wicked grin spreading across his face. His face went purple when I said it. It was very funny. "It's not funny. Your father is a possessive lunatic. He's probably having Adrian investigated by a private militia right now." "I already encrypted your phone and your big records," Jake said, sliding his iPad back to himself. "Papa's security team is good, but they're old. They don't understand modern privacy chains. Uncle Adrian is safe." I stared at my son, a mixture of pride and mild terror washing over me. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." "Just buy me the new Raspberry Pi model next week, and we're good," he replied. After breakfast, I went up to the study. It was time to prepare. If Nathan thought he could keep me here forever, he underestimated the power of $6 million a month. For 7 years, I had received a massive allowance. Nathan thought I spent it on designer bags, jewelry, and spa treatments. In reality, I spent about 10% of it on those things, mostly to keep up appearances, and channeled the rest into various offshore accounts, tech startups, and real estate investments under my maiden name, Isabella Rossi. Adrian was indeed my financial advisor, but he was also my business partner. Together, we had built a quiet portfolio worth over $80 million. I didn't need Nathan's money anymore. I had my own. I pulled out a clean sheet of paper and began drafting a divorce agreement. I didn't want his properties, his cars, or his company shares. I only wanted custody of Jake and my personal savings. I was willing to leave him with everything else, including his precious female lead. As I was waiting, my phone vibrated on the desk. It was an unknown number. I picked it up. "Hello, Isabella." A trembling, familiar voice came through the line. It was Sophia. "Sophia," I said, leaning back in the leather chair. "How's the hand? Did the swamp rat parasite set in?" I am fine," she said, though she sounded far from it. "Isabella, I need to apologize. I didn't mean to cause trouble between you and Mr. Anderson last night. I didn't know that gown was special." "It wasn't special. It was green," I said. "Why are you calling me?" I wanted to ask if we could meet," she whispered. "Mr. Anderson, he has blocked my calls. The company terminated my internship this morning. They said I was a security risk because of the snake incident. Isabella, please. I need this job. My family depends on my income." I rubbed my forehead. The classic plot structure was falling apart. In the original novel, Nathan was supposed to find her clumsiness endearing, protect her from the harsh corporate world, and gradually fall in love with her innocence. Instead, he had fired his own secretary, blocked her number, and ruined her career before the romance could even begin. Nathan's toxicity was ruining the timeline. "All right," I said. "Meet me at the cafe on 3rd Street in an hour. Don't bring any milk." The cafe was quiet, smelling of roasted coffee beans and rain. I chose a corner booth, far from the windows, where the lighting was dim. Sophia was already there when I arrived. She looked pale, her eyes red-rimmed, wearing a simple linen dress that looked far more suited to her than my emerald silk. Her right hand was wrapped in a neat white bandage. I sat down opposite her and ordered an iced Americano. Thank you for coming, Sophia said, her voice barely audible over the low hum of the espresso machine. Let's get straight to the point, I said. I'm divorcing, not them. Soon, Sophia gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Divorcing? But why? He is so devoted to you. He was so angry last night because of the nightgown because it was yours. He didn't even look at me. That's his problem, not mine, I said, taking a sip of my coffee. Nathan's devotion is just another word for control. He doesn't love me, Sophia. He loved the idea of having a perfect, captive assistant turned wife who doesn't question him. But I'm tired of feeling apart. But if you leave him, what will happen to Jake? What will happen to the company? Jake is coming with me. The company will survive. Nathan is too stubborn to let it fail, I said. I leaned forward, looking into her tear-filled eyes. Sophia, you want Nathan. I know you do. The way you looked at him at dinner, the way you tried to defend him to me. You think you can save him. You think you can be the gentle weight that softens his cold heart. Sophia's face flushed a deep crimson. She looked down at her lap, her fingers twisting together. He is very lonely, Isabella. When I work late at the office, I see him staring out the window. He has everything, yet he looks so empty. That's because he is a black hole where his soul should be. I said dryly, but if you want to try and fill it, be my guest. I'm giving you a clear path. Once the divorce is finalized, he will be single, but you need to stop playing victim. Nathan doesn't pity weak people. He crushes them. Sophia looked up, her eyes wide. What do you mean? The reason he liked me before he welcomed me in this marriage was because I was his best assistant. I was efficient, sharp, and I didn't cry when he raised his voice. I explained. If you want to get through to him, you have to be useful. Go back to the company. Don't beg him for your job back. Go to his rival, the Sterling Group. They've been trying to headhunt Nathan's talent for years. If you join them, Nathan will notice you. He'll hear you at first, but he'll notice you. Sophia stared at me as if I had just handed her a manual on how to build a bomb. You're telling me to work for his rival? It's the only way to get his attention now that he's balked you, I said, sliding a business card across the table. It was the contact card for Marcus Sterling, one of the uncles Jake had mentioned during dinner. Tell Marcus I sent you. He'll give you a position in their marketing department. Sophia took the card, her fingers trembling. Why are you helping me? If I take him, won't you regret? My only regret will be if I have to spend another anniversary sliding off a soap-sheeted bed. I said, standing up. Take the job, Sophia, and leave my family alone until the papers are signed. I left the cafe before she could answer. When I got back to the mansion, the atmosphere was different. The air felt charged, like the moments before a thunderstorm. As I walked into the foyer, I saw Nathan's assistant, the newly appointed one, a nervous young man named Peter, standing by the stairs, clutching a leather briefcase to his chest. Mrs. Anderson, Peter squeaked, bowing quickly. Mr. Anderson he's in the study. He requested your presence immediately. Is he still in a bad mood? I asked, handing him my coat. He's been reviewing some financial records, Peter said, his voice trembling, and some private investigator reports. Ah, the uncles. I smiled gently. Don't worry, Peter. If he throws a paperweight, just duck. He has terrible aim when he's angry. I walked up the stairs, my heart rate steady. I had spent 7 years being afraid of Nathan's temper, of his silent, suffocating presence. But now that I had a way out, the fear was gone. Only a deep, refreshing indifference remained. I opened the study door without knocking. Nathan was sitting behind his massive mahogany desk. The room was dark. The heavy velvet curtains drawn close, the only light coming from the green banker's lamp on his desk. Scattered across the polished wood were printouts of bank transactions, phone logs, and photographs. In the center of it all was a high-resolution photo of me and Adrian having lunch at a terrace cafe 3 weeks ago. Nathan didn't look up when I entered. He was holding a heavy glass of whiskey, the ice clinking against the crystal. Marcus Sterling, Nathan said, his voice dangerously soft. Adrian Vance, Blake Carrington, you've been busy, Isabella. They're my business partners, Nathan, I said, walking over to the leather armchair and sitting down, crossing my legs comfortably. Though I suppose to your investigators, any man under the age of 40 standing within 5 feet of me is a secret lover. Nathan finally looked up. His eyes were bloodshot, the shadows under his cheekbones deeper than usual. Adrian Vance is Secretary Vance's cousin. You use my own SAS family to set up offshore accounts. Adrian is an excellent wealth manager, I corrected. And his cousin had no idea. Don't blame Secretary Vance for being related to someone talented. Nathan slammed his glass down on the desk. The whiskey splashed over the rim, soaking into a pile of financial statements. You have $82 million in a Swiss account under the name Isabella Rossi. You've been preparing to leave me for 3 years. For years, actually, I said. The first 3 years, I was too tired from carrying Jake and dealing with the midnight interrogations. It took me some time to build up the capital. Nathan rose from his chair, his tall frame looming over the desk. He walked around it, his movements slow and predatory, until he stood directly in front of me. He leaned down, placing his hands on the armrests of my chair, trapping me between his arms. His scent, pine, whiskey, and pure, concentrated anger, filled my senses. You think you can just buy your way out of this? He whispered, his face inches from mine. You think because you have a few millions, I'll let you walk away with my son, with my name? I don't want a name, I said, looking directly into his dark eyes. I'm going back to Rossi, and as for Jake, he wants to come with me. You can see him on weekends, or every other weekend if you're busy with Sophia. Sophia is nothing to me, Nathan spat, his jaw clenching so hard I heard the joint click. She is an insect. I brought her here to see if you would care, to see if there was any spark of life left in you, but you just put your son to her. You offered her my clothes. Because I don't care, Nathan, I said softly. I haven't cared for a very long time. A flash of genuine pain crossed his features, so quick I almost missed it. Then it was replaced by a cold, desperate mask. I will lock you in this house, he whispered. I will freeze every account associated with Rossi. I will tie you up in quid for the next 30 years. You will never leave this property, Isabella. You can try, I said, reaching into my pocket and pulling out a small, sleek flash drive. I placed it on his chest, letting it slip down into a shirt pocket. But if you do, the SEC will receive a very detailed report on the shell companies Anderson Enterprises used to acquire the logistic terminal in Seattle 3 years ago. You know, the one where the local council members suddenly received early retirement packages. Nathan froze. His breathing stopped. Where did you get that? He asked, his voice dropping to a whisper that was colder than ice. I was your assistant for 3 years, Nathan, I said, patting his cheek gently. I kept digital archives. I knew you tried to freeze my accounts. I'm not a child. And I'm no longer your captive. Now back up. You're wrinkling my sweater. The signing of the divorce papers took place 3 weeks later in a neutral, sterile conference room at a law firm downtown. Nathan looked immaculate in a dark charcoal suit, but he was silent. He didn't look at me once. He sat with his hands clasped on the glass table, his signature coldness radiating from him like a physical force. His lawyer, a senior partner with a silver mane, presented the documents. Mrs. Anderson, or rather Miss Rossi, the terms are as you requested, the lawyer said, his voice professional and slightly strained. You will receive full physical custody of Jake Anderson. Mr. Anderson will have visitation rates every other weekend and during school holidays. You have waived all claims to the Anderson estate, including the primary residence, the vacation properties, and all corporate shares. Correct? I said, picking up the pen. And, the lawyer continued, glancing nervously at Nathan, Mr. Anderson has requested a final clause. You are not permitted to relocate outside the state of New York without his written consent until Jake reaches the age of 18. I looked at Nathan. He was staring at the wall behind me, his expression unreadable. That's fine, I said. I like New York. The coffee is good. I signed my name on the dotted line. Isabella Rossi. It felt right. It felt real. When I pushed the papers back across the table, Nathan finally moved. He picked up his pen, his hand steady, and signed his name. The scratching of the nib on the paper was the only sound in the room. It is done, the lawyer said, letting out a breath he had clearly been holding. I stood up, smoothing down my tailored beige coat. Thank you, gentlemen. Nathan, I'll have my things moved out by tomorrow evening. Jake is already at the new apartment with his nanny. Nathan didn't stand. He didn't speak. He simply sat there, staring at the signed document, his fingers tightening around the silver pen until his knuckles turned white. I walked out of the room, the glass doors clicking shut behind me. The air outside the building was crisp and cold, smelling of autumn and freedom. I took a deep, clear breath. My lungs felt larger than they had in 7 years. The move to the new apartment was seamless. It was a spacious, light-filled wall of gingerbread. It had high ceilings, exposed brick, and no heavy velvet curtains. I had chosen the bedroom with a massive, firm mattress that didn't slide. Jake's room was already filled with his electronic components, his terrariums, now strictly populated by non-venomous, certified safe geckos, and his computer monitors. Mama. Jake sat on our first night in the loft, looking out the floor-to-ceiling window at the city lights. Is Papa going to become a villain now? Why do you ask? I asked, pouring myself a glass of red wine. In my stories, when the powerful man loses his wife, he usually goes mad and tries to destroy the city or buy the competitor's bank. Jake said, tapping his chin. Papa seemed very quiet when he dropped off my bags. He didn't even yell at the driver for sweeping the bumper. Your father is just realizing that money can't buy everything, I said, sitting down on the sofa. And besides, he has other things to worry about. Like Miss Jin? Jake asked, raising an eyebrow. Yes, like Miss Jin. 2 months passed. The transition from captive wife to independent businesswoman was surprisingly smooth. With Adrian's help, I launched Rossi Capital, a boutique venture fund focusing on early-stage green tech and educational software. It wasn't as massive as Anderson Enterprises, but it was mine. I went to the office at 10, left at 4, and spent my evenings reading or watching Jake build increasingly terrifying automated devices. Nathan kept his word regarding visitation. Every other Friday, at exactly 5 p.m., a black town car would pull up outside our building. Jake would pack his backpack, climb into the back seat, and spend the weekend at the mansion. When Jake returned on Sunday evenings, he would give me detailed reports. Papa doesn't eat dinner anymore, Jake told me one Sunday, chewing on a piece of celery. He just sits in his study and looks at the wall. Sometimes he looks at your empty closet. I told him he should put his suits in there, but he threw a glass of whiskey at the door. Still with the whiskey? I sighed. He needs a new hobby, and Miss Chen is working for Sewing Group now. Jake added, his eyes sparkling. She's their lead marketing strategist for the new tech acquisition. Papa found out last week. He fired 3 directors because they lost the bidding war to her team. I smiled into my wine glass. Sophia had taken my advice. She had joined the rival camp, and was now actively poking the sleeping giant. Is she happy? I asked. She looks tired, Jake shrugged. But she wears expensive suits now. She doesn't wear green silk anymore. She tried to talk to Papa at the end of the gala last night, but Papa told her she smelled big, cheap ambition and walked away. Nathan always was a romantic, I murmured. The climax of a low drama occurred in the 3rd month. I was at a charity gala for the New York Public Library, an event I couldn't avoid, as Rossi Capital was one of the sponsors. I wore a simple, elegant black cotton gown with my hair swept up. No diamonds, no heavy gold. Just me. The ballroom was crowded, filled with the city's elite. I was speaking with Mark Sterling about a potential joint venture, when the crowd suddenly parted. Nathan had arrived. He looked as striking as ever, but there was a sharp, dangerous edge to him now that hadn't been there before. He looked thinner, his cheekbones more pronounced, his dark eyes scanning the room like a hawk searching for prey. Beside him, surprisingly, was Sophia. She looked stunning in a tailored crimson gown, her hair styled in sea waves. She looked confident, her posture straight, a stark contrast to the trembling girl who had stood in my hallway in a borrowed nightgown. She had indeed become a force to be reckoned with at Sterling Group, and Nathan had apparently decided that she was worthy of his attention, or at least, worthy of being stayed to humiliate Marcus. When Nathan's eyes walked onto me, he froze. Sophia noticed distraction and followed his gaze. Her expression softened slightly when she saw me, but there was a new, professional distance in her eyes. Nathan walked directly toward us, ignoring the dozens of people trying to catch his eye. Sophia followed a step behind him. Marcus, Nathan said, his voice cold as ice as he acknowledged his rival. Nathan, Marcus replied, raising his glass with a polite, easy smile. Excellent turnout tonight. I hear your 3rd quarter reports were slightly stagnant. My condolences. Nathan's jaw tightened, but he didn't look at Marcus. His eyes were fixed on me. Isabella. Nathan, I said, offering a polite, neutral nod. Sophia, you both look well. MS. Rossi, Sophia said, her voice steady and professional. Thank you for the recommendation. The position at Sterling has been very rewarding. Marcus chuckled. Indeed. Sophia has been a revelation, Nathan. You really shouldn't have let her go. She was redundant, Nathan said flatly. His eyes never left my face. Unlike some things, she is easily replaced. The insult was subtle, but Sophia's smile stiffened slightly. She had realized, as I had long ago, that Nathan's approval was a moving target, designed to keep people off balance. If you'll excuse us, Marcus, Nathan said, reaching out to grasp my elbow. I stepped back, just out of his reach, before his hand could make contact. Actually, Nathan, I was just about to leave. Jake is waiting for me at home. We're building a model rocket tomorrow. Nathan's hand hovered in the air for a fraction of a second before he dropped it back to his side. The frustration in his eyes was palpable. Isabella, just 5 minutes. I looked at Sophia, who was watching us with a mixture of jealousy and sudden, quiet realization. She looked at Nathan's desperate expression, then at my complete indifference, and I could see the pieces clicking together in her mind. She was the female lead, yes, but she had entered a story where the male lead was entirely, hopelessly broken, obsessed with a woman who had already left the stage. I have nothing to say to you, Nathan. I said gently, enjoy your evening, both of you. I turned and walked away. My black gown was spraying against the marble floor. I didn't look back, but I could feel his eyes on my spine the entire way to the exit. By the time I got back to the Tribeca loft, the city was quiet. I walked into Jake's room. He was fast asleep, his face soft and innocent, completely detached from the brilliant, manipulative child he was during the day. I pulled the blanket over his shoulders and kissed his forehead. I went to my own bedroom. I took off the black gown, washed my face, and slipped into a simple, oversized cotton t-shirt. No silk, no emerald green, just soft, breathable cotton. I climbed into my large, firm bed. I lay down in the center, stretching my arms and legs out, claiming every square inch of the mattress. There was no sound of heavy footsteps in the hallway, no scent of wet time and whiskey lingering near the door, no quiet, suffocating presence waiting for me to wake up so the interrogation could begin, just the soft hum of the city below, the cool autumn breeze coming through the slightly open window, and the absolute, beautiful luxury of uninterrupted sleep. I closed my eyes, a small, genuine smile curving my lips. The supporting wives had left the plot. The main characters could have their drama, their cruel wars and their painful, complicated love stories. I was finally going to get some rest.